It wasn't a surprise to hear our grandfather had died. He was old, stubborn, and he spent his final years alone on the family ranch. What was surprising is that he left it to us. When we arrived, the first thing we found was a letter, telling us to check the attic. Nothing more. The house was quiet, too quiet, so I flipped on the old radio. Then I made my way up to the attic. There I found a revolver, a small stack of cash, and a box of ammo, and another letter. The letter explained that they are wild animals, so we need to be able to protect ourselves. It also told us that there's an old ATV in the garage that needs fixing. So we started fixing it, and it wasn't long before she was ready to fly. We had a lot to do today, so we loaded her up. So I started the engine and rolled out of the garage. The tires sank slightly into the ground as the grass blades were brushing up against the wheels. Since it was a utility vehicle, I had to take it off-road. After a short drive, we ended up at the local gas station. Here, we started filling up the car and the jerry can, watching the little money we have wash out into the sand. The local bank was the next stop, where we hoped to get a loan to fix the ranch up properly. The banker wasn't convinced, no loan today. Then we walked over to the local car shop. We weren't quite there yet, but we dared to dream. What we could afford was upgrading our own little car with a radio. Then we drove safely to the hardware store to try and pick up some tools. At the hardware store we bought an axe, a crowbar, and a cheap table saw. This was enough tools to get us started, but we still needed some way to get money. So we thought to ourselves, how does a rancher make money? Animals, of course. So we drew to the local grocery store that conveniently sells chickens and baskets. We picked up the 2 finest specimens and a basket. We finally headed back home, back to the overgrown fields, the leaning fence posts, and the quiet. But our day wasn't over yet. Chickens need 2 things to survive. They need food, and they need water. They also probably need to have a roof over their heads. But that needed wood, and lots of it. But finally, after many hours of hard work, the chickens finally had a place to call home. The sun was already low, casting long shadows across the fields. The chickens had roof over their heads. We didn't. So we started tearing down the old farmhouse, which was too far down to fix. It was almost midnight when we were finally done. So we said goodnight to the chickens, parked our car in the garage, and went to bed ourselves. The next morning we smiled with the rising sun as we started planning for our own house. But once again we needed wood, and this time we needed much more of it. Once we had the wood we needed, we drew carefully, or tried to drive carefully, to the hardware store to pick up metal and concrete for the foundation. As we drew back home, we spotted something on the way. An opportunity to try out our grandfather's old revolver, which wasn't loaded. I had never skinned an animal before, but I think it went okay. After safely storing the meats, we continued our work on the house. It wasn't long before it was done, and boy, was it beautiful. Before we could get our well-deserved rests, we had just one more thing to do. After filling our egg basket to the brim with eggs, we headed back into town once more. We had enough ingredients to make a single burger, so we headed over to the local burger joint to sell our produce. It wasn't even a third of what we had spent today, but it felt good to finally make some money. Sore but proud, I climbed into the bed, and as I closed my eyes, I couldn't help but wonder, what else does this place have in store for me?